How to calculate mean, median, mode, and standard deviation. The mean is the average of numerical data. When teachers compute your quarter average, they're taking the mean of all your grades. The median is the middle number. If you were to line all the data values up in order, cross off the first and the last one simultaneously until you get to the middle, you would find the median, or the middle value. The mode is the value that occurs most often. I like to associate the word mode and most to help me remember the definition. And standard deviation is a measure that is used to show how much variation from the mean exists. So a large standard deviation means there is a lot of variation from your mean. A small standard deviation means all of your data points are pretty close to your mean. Now let's talk about calculating values. The way you're going to calculate the values is by using your calculator. You are going to go to Stat, Edit, L1, and then enter your data. If you are looking from a dot plot, each time you see a dot, the dot is a data value. So in your calculator, what you are going to do is press Stat, which is the third button in, second row, and it should say Edit. You are going to hit Enter. Then you are going to list the data in that value. So my first data point was 30. So I'll put in 30 and hit Enter. My next data point is 31. So I will put in 31 and hit Enter. Now 32 appears 4 different times. So I'm going to enter 32 4 times. "33" appears twice, so I will enter that twice. And 34 appears once, so I will enter that once. And 35 appears 5 times, because remember, each dot represents that data point. So I'm going to put 35 into my calculator 5 different times. Now that I have all of my data in, I go to the next step. I do Stat, Calc, 1 bar stats. So on my calculator, I go back to my Stat button, which is again, third button in, second row, and I hit over 1 because I want to go to Calc. Now this time I see 1 bar stats highlight. That's what I want, so I'm going to hit Enter. And then I just hit Enter until I get down to Calculate, hit Enter again. And my calculator calculates almost everything for me. The mean, if you remember, is represented by X bar. In my calculator, I need to look for X bar. That's right at the top here. X bar equals 33.14285,714. I'm going to round to the hundredths place, so my mean here is going to be 33.14. So the mean number of push-ups students completed was 33.14. The median is represented by MED. You don't see that yet, but you should see this little down arrow at the bottom. That means if you click your down key, more values will show up. Now I see my median in there, MED. MED is 33. So that means the middle number of push-ups completed was 33. The mode is the most occurring. You won't find this in your calculator, but you should be able to look at your data set and figure out that 35 has the most dots. So your mode here would be 35. Your standard deviation is represented by SX. So in your calculator, you need to look for SX. I see it second from my top right now. If I round to the hundredths, I'd have 1.70. So my standard deviation is 1.70. Now 1.70 is not a big number, so that means there was not a lot of variation from your mean. And if you look at your data points, that's true. Your data points only go from 30 to 35. So there was not a large deviation or variation from your mean. Now we're going to practice calculating these values again, but this time we're going to do it from a table. Now a table is very similar to a dot plot. Each box right here is a value. So every time you see a value, you're going to put it in. So I'm going to start with putting in 0, 0, 1, 1. So I'll go to stat, and then edit is highlighted, so I hit enter. Now this time I already have data values in my list, so I'm going to go ahead and clear them out. I'm going to highlight L1, hit clear, and enter to get everything out. So again, if you need to clear list, highlight the list, clear, enter. Do not hit delete. That's very, very bad. Now I'm ready to enter my data. So I said my first data points were 0, 0, 1, 1, then 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, then 4, 4, 5, 5, then 8, 10, 12. Now that I have all my data values in, I'm going to go to Stat, over to Calc, and I want one of our stats. So I'll hit Enter and hit Enter until I get to Calculate. Enter one more time. And my calculator just calculated everything I need to know. My mean, remember, is your X bar. My X bar here is 4. So the average number of pets is 4. The median is represented by MED. So if I go to my calculator, I'm going to go down until I see MED, and I see MED is 3. So the middle number of pets students own is 3. Now remember, mode is not in your calculator. So you have to look at your data points and see which one is listed the most. I see 3 is listed 4 different times. That's the most out of any value. So the mode here, or most occurring, is 3. Standard deviation, remember, is represented by SX. in our calculator. So if I look for SX, it's my third one down right now, rounded to the nearest hundredth would be 3.43. Now this standard deviation is larger than the last one. So that means there's more variation or deviation in your data set, which is true. This data set goes from 0 to 12, whereas our first one only went from 30 to 35. There's a bigger range in this one, which means our standard deviation is larger.